This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, friends. In this Business Intelligence Master Program, this is our 18th session. In this session, we will see copy data from Azure SQL database to the blob storage. So we learned different labs we have done with respect to the blob storage. We have done different labs with respect to the Azure SQL database. Now we are going to move data from SQL database to the blob storage. Okay. So today we will see all the scenarios. What are the scenarios we are going to cover? Then we are going to see data types in SQL because these are common data types which we are going to use in our day-to-day activities. Okay. Next, table syntax and example, whatever we have seen previously. In the same way, stored procedure and example, because these all things we need, because source side we are going to write a query. That query result we will copy into our blob storage. We will execute a stored procedure at source side. This result I will load it into blob storage. Okay, so that's why we need to understand tables and stored procedure, like parameterized stored procedure, all these things, how you can create and how you can execute, how you can pass the values to the stored procedure parameters. Okay, so all these things we already learned, but today only the difference is, instead of moving this result to the Azure SQL database itself, we are going to move data from Azure SQL database to the blob storage. Next, estimations we will do, prerequisites, then required resources. Okay, fine. Now demo, you see, we will see how to create a SQL database, how to create tables, how to create stored procedure. Then we are also need to have a blob storage. So how to create blob storage, then create Azure data factory. We will create data factory. We will create a linked service using integration runtime. We know, create multiple data sets we need to create, depends on the reference points. We know, create pipeline, we are going to create a pipeline. Then you can debug pipeline. Okay, if you want to execute partially, or if you want to test your pipeline, or you can run the pipeline. We will do all these things. Then we can see how to monitor this particular pipeline. Fine. Now scenarios. The first scenario is we are going to see how to copy full load table from Azure SQL database to the blob storage. Whatever data I have in my table which I have created in Azure SQL database, full data I want to copy into the blob storage. Next one is how to copy selected columns from Azure SQL database to the blob storage. Azure SQL database side, you have a customer table. This customer table is having customer ID, customer name, customer phone number, customer designation, something like that. But I want customer name and customer phone number because I want to call to each customer to inform new discounts or whatever is new features. Okay, so to that I need to have only customer phone number. So customer name and the customer phone number. What you are going to do is, instead of copying full load data from customer table to the blob storage, we are going to select the required columns from SQL database. Only those required columns we will copy to the blob storage. Next, how to copy subset of records from Azure SQL database to the blob storage. We know subset means, instead of filtering the columns, instead of selecting columns, we are going to select only records. Records means we have a first customer, one Rama is from India, 1, 2 Krishna is from US, 3 Sai is from UK. So I want to only India customers data I want to copy into blob storage. Understood, friends? I have a 3 different country people, India, USA, UK. I want to filter out and get the only Indian customers data. This data I want to copy into the blob storage. Next, how to copy data from Azure SQL database to blob storage using stored procedure in copy activity. We have done this. So inside stored procedure, you are going to define your query. That query may take a dynamic parameter. Example, first time I want to copy Indian customers data. Next time I want to copy US customers data. Next I want to copy UK customers data. So you need to pass the parameter one by one. You need to pass parameters one by one. Okay, fine. So if you remember, when you are copying data one by one, India customers data, next to US customer data, next to UK customer data, do you want to add all these 3 customers data into a single file, or do you want to load all these data into 3 different files? So that is up to you, that we have seen. Can you tell me, if I want to maintain a three different files, what I need to do? If I want to maintain entire data in a single file, what I need to do? Copy behaviors. I'm giving the clue. You remember, friends? Are you able to hear me, friends?
Merged and
You are saying very good, Chaitanya. So we need to use a merge and a flat file. Flat file structure means it is going to give you, maybe you can go preserved hierarchy as well, but in those cases you will have a different files. If you go with the merge file, you will see only single file. Next, how to write data in overwrite mode from Azure SQL database to blob storage. So how you can overwrite is basically, before you write data into your blob storage, in a blob storage, basically where we will write inside blob storage, we will have yes files, but inside what? Inside containers we are going to maintain a files. So now basically what I need to do is, whatever data I have in that particular container, that entire data I need to delete it before I load the new data. That is nothing but a override. That's why I'm going to use the delete activity first. Once my deletion is completed successfully, then only I will start copying data from SQL database to the blob store. That is nothing but a overwrite mode. Next, I want append mode from SQL database to the blob store. You don't need to do anything. If you're not using delete activity, what happens? Your files will be remains in the same container. When you load new file, that file will be added into the container. Next, so we talked about this, right? How to merge SQL database data into blob storage. How to merge SQL database data in blob storage. Next, copy activity. So in this particular session, we are going to talk about copy activity and delete activity. These two activities again we will touch today. Okay, so these are the different scenarios we are going to cover, and these are the activities we will see once again. We already learned, we have seen all these activities how we can use in multiple scenarios, but in these particular scenarios also we are going to use copy activity and delete activity. Copy data from SQL database to the blob storage. How you will copy data from SQL database to the blob? So right, this is just to imagine, this is SQL server. In SQL server you can create a multiple database. This is one of the database. In this I have a customer table. This customer data I want to load it into my blob storage. Inside blob storage you may load it into some container. Okay, that we will come back later. Now you see, first if you want to read data from SQL server, you need to connect to it. How you will connect? By using a linked service. You are going to connect. Once you connect, you will create a data set. What is meant by data set? A reference point, which table to read. Okay, which table to read, or which folder to read, or which file to read. So that particular reference point is nothing but a data set. Here my input data set will refer to my customer table. This data, what you want to do? I want to copy data. If you want to do task called copy task, then you need to use a copy activity. Then I need to load this data into blob storage. In a blob storage, you need to refer into which folder you want to load this data. For that, you need to create output data set. But if you want to refer to a particular folder, you need to have a connection. For that, I need to create a linked service to my blob storage, so that I can able to store my data in a inside blob storage. This may be, you just consider as one container. In that container, this is the file custodial CSV I will load. So we also learned, if you have a table data, this table data you can load it in a different file formats. You have a different file formats: CSV, Parquet, Avro, JSON, all those things. But today I'm going with the CSV, but we also learned JSON as well. So if possible, I will show you with JSON as well. Okay. Remember, you can go with any of this file format. Only the difference is Parquet, difference in Parquet, Avro, ORC, all these file formats you cannot able to read. It's a not human readable file formats. The data which is there in these file formats like Parquet, Avro, ORC, it's a compressed data. That's why I'm going with the custodial CSV JSON dot JSON dot sorry custodial.json, something like that. so that I can able to show you the resultant data, so that I can able to show the resultant data. Okay, now who is going to do all these things? Can you tell me who is going to do all these things, friends?
Integration runtime.
Which, who is going to do everything? Which integration runtime?
Azure.
So Azure integration runtime is going to do all these things. Who is going to manage all these things? Azure Data Factory is going to just manage all. That's all. Okay. This is the flow of copying data from SQL database to the blob storage. Now you see override mode overview diagram. Okay. So you see, first I'm going to use the delete activity, which will create a reference point to your output container inside blob storage. Okay. Create data set which reference to output container. I will create a data set which reference to the output container. Then I am going to what is the result of this delete activity? All files will be removed from the blob storage container. Okay, once it is removed successfully, green mark means we know it's a success. So if it is successfully deleted all the files, then I will start my copy activity. What this copy activity will do? In copy activity, you will create two data sets. Create two data sets which reference to cust table source side and output container at sink side. You understood, sir? Our source is cust table. Our sink is where we need to load this data in output container. But in output container, do we have anything? No. Successfully, we deleted all the files from the delete activity. Now I am going to load all the data into my output container. What is my resultant? Copy table data into output container. So what this copy activity will do is it will copy table data into output container. This is what is going to happen now. Okay, before I go to other things, any questions? Okay, if no questions, let me move on. So we already talked about all these things. Commonly used data type. Date time means date plus time you will get. Date means only date you will get. Varchar means if you want to specify any names in a table, example, it can be a city names, it can be product name, it can be any vehicle name or person name, company name, whatever it may be, varchar. In that name, if you have any special character, you need to define n varchar instead of varchar. Int means any number. Okay, product ID, customer ID, serial number, okay, something like that. Big int means same number, but it is the bigger number. Example, if the number is more than 9 digits, example, phone numbers, then you need to go with big int. These are the commonly used data types, but apart from this, we have a other data types as well as we discussed. Okay, table syntax. We know how to create table. Create table, table name, column 1 data type, column 2 data type, column 3 data type, column n data type. So create table, cust table, cust ID int, cust name varchar 50, cust phone number begin, cust join data. So varchar 50 means 50 characters it will allow. We discussed about this as well. I have given multiple examples. Okay, cust ID means number, that's why int. Cust name means it's a name, I am using var. Cust phone number, it's a more than 9 digits, so I am going with begin. Cust join, when this customer has joined maybe our company or something, then the date and time. Okay, example. So once you create this particular table, I want to insert some data into the table. How will insert? Insert into table name. Okay, into which table? The table name you need to give. Then you need to specify column 1, column 2, column n, values of value 1, value 2, value n. Now insert into cust ID, cust name, cust phone number, cust join, and I'm providing the values. Here also I'm providing the same value. But what? So in which case we need to specify column names, in which case we no need to mention the column names. Anybody remember, friends, that when you are inserting
if the data types of the values is same as that of the columns you are passing, you need to mention the column names.
That is, see, one thing, when you are passing value to all the columns, then you no need to mention the column names. One. Second one is, when you need to go for these columns is, order of providing values are different. Example, first I don't want to provide a cust ID. I remember first column is cust name, so I just mention cust name. then cust phone number, cust join, then cust ID. Cust ID I will move to the last. Then in that case, you need to mention the column names in which order you want to provide a values. In same order, you need to specify the column names. That is the first case where you need to use the these column names. Second case is you are not providing values to all the column names. You want to provide values to only few columns. Example, custody, custom. Then you need to mention a column name. So you need to specify that I am providing values to only these two columns. You have to tell that. If you don't have these two requirements, then you can directly say insert into cust values, provide all the values of all columns, then values for all the columns, and in same order. Here you see you are providing values to all columns, one thing. Second thing is you are following the order. First customer ID, customer name. What is this order? This is the order in which you created the table. In same order you created this table. Okay, clear? Okay, now I inserted records. Now I want to select data from table. How will you select column 1, column 2, column n from table? Select star from cust or select cust name from cust. Meaning star means it will select all the columns. If you want to specify particular column, you can specify select cust name from cust. Okay, this is the syntax for your table. How you will create, how you will insert data into the table, how you will select it, how you will select the data from the table. But in real time, you are not going to create a table and inserting data into the table. These data will come from the on-premise or different sources. You are going to get data and you will copy into your tables. Okay, tables will be available, don't worry. We have already seen if you don't have table, when you are loading data, automatically table will create, auto create table we have seen. Next, procedure syntax, stored procedure. Okay, stored procedure. See, this is the syntax. Create procedure, procedure name as begin, and this is the query. Example, you see, create proc cust underscore sp as begin, select star from cust. Whenever I executed this stored procedure, it is going to give the result of this query. Okay, this is the normal stored procedure. Okay, now I will go with a parameterized stored procedure. Stored procedure with parameter. See, create procedure proc @p1 int p2 varchar. So this is the first parameter of type int, second parameter of type varchar, as begin end. This is the query. In this query, I may use these two parameters. Example, create procedure cust underscore sp. See, product. This is what parameter, ID parameter. P name means name parameter. P phone number means phone number parameter. P joined date means join date parameter. Okay, these four columns we have, these four parameters we have. These four parameters, what I'm doing, insert into cust values. I'm taking these four values to insert data into this particular cust table. Insert into cust values are @ ID, @name, @phone number, @joined date. Okay. This is how you need to use the update, like with stored procedure with parameters to insert the data into the customer table. I want update table. So same thing, create a procedure, procedure name @p1 int @p2 varchar as begin end. Here you have a query. Okay, now you see this is the procedure which will update. See, create proc cust underscore sp says this is the ID, this is the mobile number. So update customer table, set customer phone number to whatever mobile number he has provided. But if you simply put, if you execute till here, it will update for all the customers. It will update the new phone number which is provided by this customer ID. So that's why you need to put some condition saying that don't update all customers phone number. Please update where customer ID is something, whatever value provided. Example, my customer ID is 10 and I will update my phone number. Then what I will do, I will say wherever customer ID is 10, please update that particular row, that particular record mobile number, update to the new number which I am providing. That's how you need to update. Okay. Estimations, we know how many linked services we need. For each Azure SQL database, one linked service is required in ADF V2. For each storage, one linked service is required. So now today, how many linked services we need, friends? Can we do it with one linked service or we need two linked services?
We need two.
Okay, very good. We need two today. Okay. As of today, we have seen creating the only one linked service, but from today we need to use two linked services. Okay, fine. Next, how many data sets depends on the reference points. We need to create the data sets. One data set I may create to refer my customer table. Another data set I will create to refer to my output container in blob storage. Next, how many activities? One copy activity is required to copy data from Azure SQL database to the blob storage. If you have any other requirements for filtering or putting some condition for iterating through multiple tables, depends on requirement, you need to add the other activities. But in today lab, we will go with copy activity and delete activity. But if you want to copy data from SQL database to blob storage, copy activity is required. Next, how many pipelines will create? One pipeline. So what type of IR we need to use to copy data from SQL database to the blob? We need to have a Azure integration runtime. Okay, these are the things we need. So let's see prerequisites. We need to understand what is Azure SQL database, what is blob storage, what is Azure Data Factory, what is the integration runtime and the type. Okay, linked service, data sets, activities, and pipelines. So all these things we discussed in detail. We have a little good knowledge on all of this. So with this knowledge, we can do the today lab. Okay, required resources are, I'm going to create a SQL server, SQL database, blob storage, then Azure Data Factory V2. These are the 4 services I'm going to create, 4 resources. These are the slides I have. So before I get started with the lab, any questions, friends? Okay, if no questions, let me quickly create all the things. Just click on SQL database. Click add to create the SQL database. Okay, this is the free trial and resource group. Just click create. This is the my resource group cloud Monday. This VA master program. Okay, Cloud Pandit BI Master Program 1 I am just mentioning because we have a Cloud Pandit BI Master Program that resource group already available. Let's create a database. We talked about what is the database and what is server, all those things, right? So database is basically where we are going to store the data. If you want to modify the data, if you want to add new data, if you want to delete some data, you need to request those things through the server. Server will go and issue the required commands or required changes. It will do it in the data which is there in a database. So that's why we need both the things, database and a SQL server. One more thing that you can do, you can create a SQL server separately, then you can create the database. But most of the time I'm going to create SQL server on the fly, meaning here. So what else you can do is you can just go to SQL server first. You can search for SQL server. So this is a SQL server. Just click on that. You can create a SQL server separately. Okay, just click add to create the SQL server. See, this is not the my resource group. Let me create my resource group. Click OK. Now, so server name. What I will do is Cloud Monday SQL server. Okay, this name is available. In which location you want to create SQL server? In East to West. Okay, server admin login. I want to give my name and password. I will use my password. Confirm password. Let me enter same password. Password and confirm password both are not matching. Okay, see, now both are matching. Just click networking. You can leave them as is. Additional setting, leave them as is. Tags, key value paste. If you have anything, you can give. Otherwise, just leave that as well. Blank. Click create. Okay, now what happens is it is going to review all the details. If everything is fine, you can click create. Okay, this particular button will be enabled. You can create the SQL server. Okay, Now SQL Server is going to create. Now open one more tab, portal.azure.com. Okay, so first thing we need to have a SQL Server ready if you want to create a database, because you need to select this particular SQL Server under database. See now, example, just click on database. Okay, just click add to create the SQL database. Come down, see here SQL Server. If we have that SQL Server is already available, it will be listed down here. But the SQL Server is not yet ready, that's why it is not listing down in this particular list. Okay, just wait for 1 minute, then we can able to create the database. Okay, because we created the SQL Server and SQL database separately we are creating, so we need to wait until server is ready to create the database. Okay, wait. Can I create a multiple databases on the same SQL Server? So do you think it is possible or not possible?
We can. Yes.
Okay, remember we can do that. Okay, so I will show you today. Even we can create the multiple databases under this particular SQL Server. Okay. It is taking a little bit long time. So SQL Server is ready. Now just come to database, click add database. Okay. Now, so this is the free trial. We know resource group is, this is the one we have created in today's session. Database, I will say Cloud Funded SQL database. Cloud Funded SQL database 1. Okay, so this is the first database I'm creating under what? Under this SQL Server. Okay, so what is the configuration of your database? You can give, we talked about elastic pool. If you want to have a multiple database which are sharing the resources, then you need to turn on this. Okay, right now I don't want elastic pool, just go with the separate databases. Okay, just click networking. We know all these things. If you want some sample data, you can go with sample. You will get advanced database. Click tags, leave everything blank, just click review plus create, click create. Okay, so tags means what? Just key value base. Okay, it's not mandatory, so there is no dependency on that. Okay, just to identify what purpose you are using this particular database, we are going to use the tags. Okay, this is creating, fine. I want to create one more database. Come to SQL database, just click add database. I just wanted to show you whether we can create the two databases or not. Even you can create through UI, or you can create it once you connect to the SQL server. You can just fire a queries, create database name. That's how you can able to create very easily. Okay, so this is the same subscription, same resource group. Here I'm going to create a one more database, Cloud Pandit SQL database 2. Okay, so this is my server. I want to use elastic pool? No. So compute plus storage, you just keep as this. Just click review plus create, because we are going with the default value. Let's click create. Okay, so now how many databases I have deployed? I have deployed two databases. Now databases will create very quickly, because only it will take to create. SQL server will take some time to create, but databases will create very quickly. So we will be able to see those things in some time. But meanwhile, I will open one more tab to create our BLOB storage and Azure Data Factory. Sorry, so I am just going with the storage account. Just click on storage accounts. You will see I have a multiple storage accounts already available. I want to add one more storage account. Just click add to create the storage account. Free try. Resource group. Okay, this is the resource group. Come down. This is the storage account. I will say Cloud Pandit BLOB storage. Okay, this is a BLOB storage in which region? East US. We know standard and premium. Standard means HDD, premium means SSD. We talked about all these things. You can go with any of these things. You will get a BLOB storage. Okay, just to go with the latest version. Click review plus create. Okay, this is how we need to create the BLOB storage. Let's open one more tab to create our Azure Data Factory. Okay, search for data factories. Data factories. Click on data factories. Click add data factories. The resource group is, I can say this is the resource group, and in which region I am creating my data factory in East US 2. Data factory name I can say Cloud Pandit PDF V2. Okay, Cloud Pandit BAMP ADF V2. This is available. This is the name which is available. In which version we are using? V2 Git configuration. So as I said, this we will configure it later. Remaining things we don't want anything. Just click review plus create. Okay, click review plus create. It is going to validate all these details. We have seen the changes. So before, when we start our Azure Data Factory, we don't have all these tabs, right? So but recently these tabs they have added. But don't worry, all is networking, everything, even in real time, we are not going to configure. Okay, just click create. Okay, some people, if they want to maintain their own network, they will use the network options to configure their own network. Okay, but in this particular for development, we don't require all those things, because that is the admin task. Even if they want to create, okay, even we no need to create in real time, as we discussed, everything will be created and give it to you. Okay, now data factory is ready. Okay, storage is ready. Now just refresh, you will see two databases. See, two databases are ready, but in two databases under same SQL server. You see Cloud One SQL Server, Cloud One SQL Server. Both are under same server. Okay, we understand. I want to focus only on the first database. before you connect, what we need to do, we need to turn on the firewall as we discussed. Just click set server firewall, add client IP, then we need to see client IP added, then you need to say allow Azure services and resources to access this particular server, turn on this, so that Azure Data Factory and other services can able to connect to the SQL server. If we add this particular IP address, from this particular IP address we can able to access our database. Otherwise I cannot able to connect to my database if I'm not adding my client IP. Click OK, come back. I want to connect to the database. How will connect? Click on query editor. Okay, this is login, this is my password. Okay, so now I am able to connect to the database. Click tab, tables. You see, you don't have any tables because we selected none. We selected none means empty database I want. Okay, empty database you got. Here what we need to do, we need to create a table and stored procedures, right? So we will do that now. Create table first, PID int. So I hope I already have those things. Let me bring those things to here. Sorry friends, I don't have those things. Let's create a table quickly. Okay, create table first, PID int, cname varchar 50. Let's say I want to say C phone number. This is a big int. Okay, that's all. These are the three columns I want to give in my table. Now I want to insert data. How will you insert? Okay, let's create a table first. Let's run it. See affected row 0. Refresh this. You will see the tables. First table is created. Now let's try to select this data. Select the star from first. What we have in this table, there is no data in it because we just created the table. There is no data in it. Okay, fine. Now I want to insert data into this table. Insert into first. So you can insert in a different ways. You can mention the column names. You can insert, or you can provide the all the values in same order. Okay, one, I want to pass values in same order for all the columns. My phone number I will give. Second customer 2, please no. Let me give same phone number 3. Okay. I will give some wrong number. Okay, maybe I can say 2482. So 1 2 I'm missing here. Okay, 1 2 I'm missing. Okay, just insert these 4 records into this table. What it is in some syntax error. Where is that syntax? Okay, here you need to say values. Just try to insert. Okay, 4 rows inserted successfully. Now we'll see select star from first. Let's check whether 4 or like 4 records we have or not. From run it. See 1 2 3 4, you have 4 records, but there is some error here. That is phone number is not updated successfully, like it's not updated correctly. We need to update it correct phone number. Okay, how to do that we will see, but to do that I want to use my stored procedure. How to create stored procedure? Create prop procedure name first underscore sp1 as begin end. So here I want to say select star from first. Select star from first and run this particular stored procedure created. If I select this and run it, that is nothing but you are running the stored procedure. Okay, with the name you can run, right? Just select and run it. Only this particular word will execute. Now basically it is giving you a result. How? Because inside the stored procedure you are using this particular uh, query. Okay, now I want to create a one more stored procedure with same first underscore sp2. Here I want to say some condition where CAID equal to customer ID equal to, I want to pass a, let's say you are saying 2. Okay, just execute this. Now whenever I execute this stored procedure, what will happen? Can you tell me what will happen, friends?
Only one record will.
Okay, only record 2 I will get. Only record 2 I am getting now. Okay, this is very difficult because every time if I get this 2, I don't want this kind of stored procedure because I want to pass maybe for, well, sometimes I want customer ID 1, sometimes I want customer ID 2. For that, how you can change this customer ID dynamically is you need to create a one more stored procedure. This is 3 with a parameter p customer ID. Okay, or you can say ID param underscore ID, something you can just, you need to understand param ID param, but what type of value it is a number, that's why int. Take this parameter and define it here. Now what you are doing, basically whatever value you are providing to this stored procedure, that value you are putting in this query, you are using in this query to filter the records. Now you just create this. I want to execute this stored procedure. How will you execute it? It's not simply selecting name because this required some parameter. So you need to say first underscore sp3. I want to execute with parameter 4 I am passing. Okay, run it now. You will see customer ID 4 you are getting. Next 3, if you pass, third record you will get it. If you pass 1 or 2, you will get a second record. Okay, we understood this now. Next, what I wanted to. Okay, these stored procedures is enough, friends. Okay, these stored procedure is enough. Now we understood that we have a third stored procedure which is going to accept the parameter. Remember, okay, third stored procedure which is going to accept the parameter. Now this is clear, friends. First thing, we created the table, we inserted records, then we created the multiple stored procedure and we verified. But ultimately, I am going to use a method stored procedure to copy data into my blob storage. Maybe I want to copy subset of data. I will say customer ID 2 I want to copy. Then I will just execute the stored procedure by passing the customer ID 2, so that I will get only second record. This second record I will copy into blob storage. Okay. Clear? Any questions? Can you give me quick confirmation, friends, so that we can proceed further? Okay. Now come to blob storage. Go to resource. Click on containers. See here, I don't have any container, but even I don't want to create a container by my own. I want to create containers from the Azure data factory. How to do that? We will see. Come to data factory. Just click on go to resource. This is the data factory. You need to open data factory. Just click on author and monitor. Let it open. Okay, now you see data factory is open. Click on manage tab. So we know integration runtime, we have a default auto resolve integration runtime. Now I want to create a linked service for my blob storage and SQL database. Just come to linked service, click new. You can create a blob storage, click continue. Blob storage linked service I'm creating LS linked service for Azure blob storage. Auto resolve integration runtime. This is the through account key. See, auto resolve integration runtime is nothing but a Azure type. This is Azure type we discussed. Okay, this is the free trial, and from free trial subscription I am identifying my storage. What is my storage? Here you see Cloud Pandit blob storage. This is the my storage name. Just give the storage name test connection. Connection will be successful because key will be loaded automatically. We also have seen how you can authenticate through the SaaS URL. Okay, remaining things we will see in some time. Okay, just click create. But today I'm going with the account key only. create that. Next, I want to create a one more linked service for my SQL database. Azure SQL database, continue, message ls underscore Azure SQL database. Azure SQL database. Through auto resolve integration runtime from this subscription, I'm going to identify my server and I will identify my database. So which database you want to focus? Only database one, because all stored procedures, everything I created in my database. So I need to create a separate linked service for my database. Next, SQL authentication. Okay, so we have a different authentication, but I'm going with the SQL authentication. Next, username. I want to say this. I entered my username and password, test the connection. We know keyword we are going to discuss in some time, and here database name. So do we need to create a multiple data sets? You can pass the database names dynamically. Okay, you can create the dynamic linked services that we can discuss. For now, you see database connection is successful. Click create it. Okay, ls underscore Azure SQL DB connection is ready. Now we have two linked services which are ready. Come to author tab. Let's create two data sets. New data set. So what is your source? Source is my SQL database. So I will just select Azure SQL database, click continue. This is the DS data set. This is the DS for Azure SQL DB source. This is a source data set. Next, linked service is this, because we need to have a connection if you want to read any data. That's why before you create reference points, we create a linked service. That linked service we are referencing here. So as this is full load table, I want to copy entire data. Let's select the table itself, entire data, full load data I want to copy. So what is our first lab? Okay, if you look at our scenarios, our first lab is basically copy full load data from Azure SQL database to Azure SQL database to the BLOB storage. You can see here. One second. Here you can see, friends, our first activity is first scenario is how to copy full load table from Azure SQL database to BLOB storage. Meaning entire data which I have in the customer table, I want to load it into my destination. That's why I'm selecting this table. Now click OK. Okay. That's all. Okay, now create a one more data set which reference to your output container in BLOB storage. See BLOB storage, click continue. So in which file format you want to load, as a YAML or as a binary, as a delimited text, Excel, JSON. So let's go with CSV only. Okay, click continue. This is basically DS underscore AS. Sorry, it's a Azure BLOB storage as a sink. This is going to be your sink. Next. So we need to, if you want to create any container or anything, if you want to load data into BLOB storage, we need to create a linked service. That linked service is already have created. Now output container, if you browse, do we have any container? No, we have not created any container. So that's why just give the name of your container. Let's say I want to give my container name is output. This container will be created automatically if it is not available. So first row is header. We know whenever we are reading the CSV files, whenever we are writing the CSV files, we need to explicitly say that I have headers in the CSV file. Whether you are doing this from PySpark or like from Data Factory, whatever, even if you are doing in USQL, Azure Data Lake Analytics, everywhere, whenever you are reading CSV files, you need to explicitly say that first row as header. Okay, we were discussed about this as well. Just click OK. This is the importing schema, means you cannot import schema because you don't have any data. That's why select none, click OK. Now I have source and sink. I have my what from where I need to pick the data, where I need to load the data. So I have two reference points. I will go to my pipeline, create a pipeline. This pipeline name I can say PL underscore data. Okay. PL, basically I'm going to load this data. PL underscore data. Okay, you can say SQL DB to BLOB. This is basically we are copying data from SQL DB to BLOB. Now that's all. You just give the move and transform, bring the copy data activity to copy data from where? From your source is SQL database. Just to select SQL data set. Sync side, you just select your blob data set. Okay. Now you have source and sync. Okay. Now if I run, what will happen? Whatever data, see you selected table. Where you selected table? Inside data set. You can see this is the table name we have selected. Now that table data, okay, this entire table data I'm moving into the sync. In sync side where you are loading, open this data set to see inside output container I'm loading this data. Okay, so if I run this particular pipeline, what will happen is this is basically going to create a one container inside your storage account. Okay, let's click debug. Okay, debug is nothing but without publishing. If you want to run a pipeline, you can just click the debug. And second option is if you want to execute your pipeline partially, few activities if you want to run, you can use the debug. See, pipeline is succeeded. Just click on this to see you are copying data from Azure SQL database to the Azure blob storage. This is in East-US. This is also in East-US. So number of records read 4, number of records written 4, DI use is 4, parallel copies are 1, duration it took 5 seconds. Okay, so you see all these things. Okay, now what I wanted to do, I want to check whether container is created or not. Refresh it. See, container is created. Click on output. See, dbo.custody.txt. As you are not giving the file name, with the table name it has created the file name dbo.cust. It's nothing but table name. dbo is the schema, cust is the table name. With this it has created a .txt file. Can anybody tell me, we selected CSV, but why it is .txt? We have corrected this particular mistake multiple times.
File time txt.
Inside file by default it will be there .txt. If you want .csv, you need to mark it as a .csv. Then you just click debug once again. Now what will happen? You see, come here. Just wait until your copy activity is successful. Okay, copy activity is successful. Come here, refresh this. Now what happened? With .csv, it has created one more file. Okay, just click on this. But data inside any file, data will be a same, like comma separated with header. See, we have a headers and we have a data, and all these values are separated with comma. Okay, even it is what custody says. We just click on preview data. You see here, data is there, but come back. Just click on custody.txt. In this custody.txt also data will be there in a comma separated only. See, comma separated values. We have a comma separated values. Only the problem is .txt extension. If you want to change to .csv, what we have done? We just have selected sync side. We just selected sync side file format is .csv. Okay. So this is what we need to do as a first thing. How to copy full load table from Azure SQL database to the blob storage. Now you know you have a like 3 columns, 4 records. All those 3 columns and 4 records came into the blob storage or not? Everything came into blob storage or not, friends? Everything came into our blob storage. Now let's go and do our second lab. What is our second scenario? Sorry, our second scenario is selected columns from Azure SQL database to the blob storage I want to set. For that, what you need to do, go to your copy activity. Okay, don't confuse, small modifications I will do instead of creating everything from scratch. So come to source. Instead of copying entire table data, I will write a query this time. This query, what I will do, select star from custody table. It will be same as a selecting entire table data. Instead of that, I will say CNAME and CPhone number. I will select these 2 columns. I want to preview the data before I execute my copy activity. Just click preview data. See, these 2 columns data only I am getting now. I'm not getting the customer ID column. So these two columns data I want to load it into where sync side we have a output container. So if you want to load this data into output container, you can load, or if you want to create another container into that container you want to load, that is also possible. Okay. So I don't want to change my sync. Let's click debug. Okay. It is queued. It is in progress. You see job is succeeded. But now come here, refresh this. So now what happened? It created a separate file. Just click on this file. Click edit. See, this time I got only these two columns data. These two columns data I got it. Now, question, many people might have this question. Can we give this particular file name? Can I give this particular file name? Yes, you can give. You can give the file name and you can load it into the required file instead of creating the default file with this particular syntax. What I want to do, what I wanted to give is, I want to give my file name. Okay, open the sync side. Sync side, you selected your output container. In that, I want to give my own file name, that is cloud.csv. This is the file. Into this, I want to load this data. Understood, friends? This is the sync data set. Come to your pipeline. Now just click debug once again. In same container, I have provided my file name. So what will happen with that file? Now see cloud.csv came this file. If you are providing the file name, into that file it will load the data. If you're not providing any file name, it will create its own file. Okay. See, I am just getting the whatever columns I selected in my query. This is clear. Everybody's clear these two scenarios, friends? We have multiple scenarios to cover. Please confirm.
Yes.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, thank you, Parmesh. Thank you. Let's go to the next one. So how to copy subset of records from Azure SQL database to the BLOB store. Now you need to tell me how I can load only customer ID 1 and 2 into my sync side. I want to copy two records, customer ID 1 and 2. How I can do? I want to load all the columns data, meaning I will say select star. But this time I want to load two IDs, okay, where CID in, you can say 1, 3. Suppose you want to load one first record and third record into your output, then you need to say 1, 3. Now this is the data. I want to load it into sync. Sync side, if you want to change the file name again, just to open the sync side, you just give the file name here. You can say cloud.pandit13.csv because one record and third record I'm passing. So I'm just giving name as cloud.pandit13.csv file. Okay. Now go back to your data set. So I changed my file name at sync side. Source side I am selecting 1 and 3 records. If you want to preview the data, just click on preview data. You will see only 2 records you will get. See, 1 and 3 you are getting. These 2 records I want to load. What you need to do? Just click debug, or if you want to run the pipeline, you can run. Just click debug now. So successfully executed. Come to output, refresh this. Cloud Pandit 13.csv. You can see 13.csv. In this, you should see only 1 and a third record. You see 1 and a third. 1 and 3. Okay, fine. 1 and 3 records we are able to see. Next scenario. Oh, sorry. How to copy data from Azure SQL database to the BLOB storage using stored procedure. We have a multiple stored procedures. Let's execute one by one. So are we going to use a separate stored procedure activity here? No. Inside copy activity, we have a stored procedure. We have seen all these things. Okay. In the stored procedure, we have multiple stored procedures. 1 and 2 will not accept any parameters. 3 will accept the parameter. Okay. Let's select third one. Okay. Just click import parameter. It will tell you what parameters we have defined in it. See, PID. This is the ID you have passed. Okay. Now I will say customer ID 4. I want to select only customer ID 4. Okay, let's click preview data now. So what record you are getting, you will see. Okay, you see only 4th record you are getting. Let's say I will pass my parameter value is 1. Okay, let's preview data. You will see only 1th record is coming. This 1th record, okay, first record, I want to load it into my sync side. Sync side, I will change my file name to now cloud pandit 1.csv. Cloud pandit 1.csv. Come to pipeline. Let's click debug. This is also successfully executed. Come to output, refresh this cloud pandit 1.csv. In that you will see only one file, sorry, one record you should be able to see. See one record, one drama, this one. Okay, fine. This is all okay, good. Now my requirement is I want to go with the overwrite mode. See now, my requirement is how to overwrite data in overwrite mode from Azure SQL database to the BLOB storage. For that, just have to do one small thing, that is, as of now what we are doing, you are appending the data. You are appending the data. I want to delete the data. I want to go with the overwrite mode. Then what you need to do, come just to drag copy data activity here. Before you run copy data activity, okay, before that I want to set my this particular copy data activity. Come to source side. This source side I will select my stored procedure 1. Can you tell me this stored procedure what it will give? It will give you everything, because inside the stored procedure, yeah, we need to delete this. Let's click preview data. See, now you are getting all the 4 records in stored procedure side. You are getting all the 4 records. These 4 records I want to load it into sync side. In sync side, my file name should be cloudpandit.csv. Before I copy this data into cloudpandit.csv, if I have anything in my output container, I want to remove everything, meaning whatever data I have in this, everything I want to remove. Then I want to load cloudpandit.csv. This is the file I want to load once again. Okay, for that, come here. What you need to do, first you need to use a delete activity. Go to general, bring the delete activity. Where is delete activity? Delete activity. We also have seen enabling the logs. Okay, in today's session I will just disable the logs. Okay, but come to source. This is the thing. Okay, where I need to delete the data. Okay, this is the place where I need to delete the data. Okay, but what I will do is wildcard file path. I will say wildcard file path is star. Star means all the files which I have in this particular data set, everything I want to delete. Understood, friends? When it comes to the logging, I will disable these logs because I don't want to see the logs. Previously we have seen logs. In the logs you will see all the files which it has deleted, everything will be logged. Okay, now I'm just going to the wildcard file name. In this wildcard file name means what it is going to do. Okay, if you have any confusion, just let's select file path data set. Let's create a new data set if you have any confusion. Okay, click new, blob storage. In this blob storage, click new, blob storage, click continue. This coming as a binary. Okay, that is okay. So what you need to do, this is the DS for Azure blob storage delete. Okay, delete data set. Okay, fine. This is basically use the same linked service. Then you need to say in which container you want to delete the data. So in output container, whatever data I have, everything I want to delete. Just to select that. Say I'm selected new one, wildcard file path. I'm just putting star. Just you can use the same data set. If you want to create new one, I just created just to avoid the confusion. Okay, wildcard file path star. Now what will happen? Whatever data you have in output container, everything will be removed. Then it will copy the new data. Okay, let's click debug now. See, delete activity successfully executed. Copy activity is running. Before that, come here and refresh this. See, everything is deleted. Now copy activity is going to run, and it brought the cloudpandit.csv file. In this CSV file, you should be able to see all the 4 records. You should be able to see all the 4 records. See, all the 4 records are available. So if you want to debug, what you need to do, you need to create a breakpoint. How do you create a breakpoint? Select this. Now just click debug. Only delete activity will run, but copy activity will not run. So delete activity successful, copy activity is not executing. Come to your output, this particular file you will lose. See, that particular file also deleted. Okay, friends. Now uncheck this. Okay, uncheck this. What I wanted to do, I'll just remove this. Only copy data activity. In this next basically next thing is how to write data in append mode from SQL database to the blob storage. We have seen this because whenever you are writing data, it is appending data, it is not deleting. Okay, next, how to merge SQL database data in blob storage. This is the final scenario we need to see, but copy activity, delete activity already we have seen. Only the scenario which is pending is how to merge SQL database data in blob